Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story of today. I'm Leo Harley, and let's queer up trans rights. Simone Biles apologizes after a heated exchange with Riley Gaines over trans athletes in sports. Olympic gymnastics champion Simone Biles is speaking out and apologizing after a fiery exchange online with Riley Gaines, a former University of Kentucky swimmer and a vocal opponent of transgender inclusion in women's sports. Over the weekend, Biles responded sharply to Gaines' comment on post celebrating a high school girls soft team in Minnesota. The learn included a trans girl who helped pitch team to victory. Gaines, in response to the team success, wrote, quote, "Comment off, LOL, to be expected when your star player is a boy," end quote. Biles fired back, tweeting, quote, "You're truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost the race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Maybe a transgender category in all sports. But instead, you bully them. One thing is for sure, is no one in sport is safe with you around," end quote. Gaines, who tied the fifth with Leah Thomas, a trans swimmer, in 2022, called Biles' reaction disappointing and mocked her with a tweet suggesting she compete in the men's category events in gymnastics in 2028. On Tuesday, Biles offered an apology. Quote, I didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't know and I don't have the answers to or solutions, but I believe it starts with empathy and respect. I was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. My objection is to singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Gaines accepted the apology, but stood firm. This incident sheds light on the continuing fight for inclusion and dignity in sports. Well, it's been a long-going battle with the trans in sports. I agree. Maybe it would be a good idea to just have a trans category or a trans Olympics, or maybe just have an open category for everybody. We have that in bodybuilding.
Well, we already have the gay Olympics. But we do have the gay Olympics, and we already do have gay sports. But I think the problem is Biles apologizing for standing up for what she said. Granted, she is somebody with, a position and a platform, and, getting nasty, as she said, probably doesn't suit her. But unfortunately, at this moment, our backs are up against the wall, right? And quite honestly, this athlete who made the comment, she didn't win, and neither did the
Not only she didn't
swimmer.
win, she was tied at fifth place with a trans swimmer, and for that alone, she has been using that to attack trans athletes ever since.
Which makes no sense.
She has been a talking head. She basically accepting Fox News checks over and over and over again. Right. Just go up to relive that grievance. Oh no, someone actually, a trans person, swim as fast as I did. That must be cheating. You didn't even qualify for the top three.
Exactly.
I mean, a grifter on Fox News, like, oh my God, that's breaking news. I was a little surprised with Simone Biles. I thought, to be honest, sorry, Leah, with this, but I thought she was apologizing for trying to just say that there should be a transgender sports section, because that would be very discriminatory towards trans people. We don't do separate but equal. Trans women are women, trans men are men. But then to see her apology, I don't want to set policy that could take away the fairness in women's sports. That is, Simone Biles, that is very inappropriate to say after, to backtrack on that. Trans people, if you're going to speak on trans issues and then try and step back from that, that's even worse than getting involved in the first place. Either stand up for people or sit down and shut up.
Absolutely.
And,
that's my opinion.
And the thing is if I were Simone's publicist or whatever, crisis manager, I would never have apologized. You're on the right side of history. stick to it. I mean, who cares what the other people think? You'll be vindicated eventually, even if you get short-term threats.
And even though she did say that, she did say within the statement, I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times we have these conversations, and I say this, I don't have the answers, but let's keep talking about it. And what I think is interesting is that we keep hearing people, oh, trans athletes are too strong to compete in the category, blah, blah, but they're not strong enough to be in the military. So, again, it's not about the trans people. It's about control.
And also, I just want to add that all those cisgender athletes or even sports players who walk away, like one of them walked away from a dart tournament, one of them walked away from a pool tournament. This does not require extraordinary strength. And also, have you noticed that they keep talking about trans women, but never trans men? They never ever trans men. I mean, if the goose, if what's good for the goose is what's good for the gander, then should we talk about how cis men are inherently stronger than trans men, and therefore that trans men has an unfair disadvantage?
Well, it's not a proof that any individual could be stronger or less stronger than another individual, even of other genders.
Their logic,
I know that their logic, but they're fools. And this idea, of this strong trans person, Malcolm X, and I'm not going to get his quote right. He would warn, it's always interesting how the oppressor always likes to find ways to show the violence of the actually oppressed, make them look like they're much stronger than they actually are, and pretend that the oppressor is the victim. And that's what we're seeing in the whole trans sports debate.
I mean, I know some cisgendered women who could beat cisgendered men in sports, on the court, off the court, on track. I've played in sports and I can't tell you how many times I had a cisgendered woman beat me at track, and I ran track. I mean, the idea of trans men and women being less or equal to or better, or it's your ability as a person in sports to train properly for that given sport to your best ability. And if you can't train to your best ability, don't blame it on the person next to you. You lost because of you, not because of somebody else. Plain and simple.
Yep.
So that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.